Many years ago, in the beautiful city of Calabar, there lived two beautiful ladies whose names were Chioma and Imabong. Chioma and Imabong have been best friends since they were little. As a matter of fact, they went to the same primary school, to the same secondary school, and even to the same university. And Imabong later got married to a handsome man whose name was Obong. And Chioma eventually got married to a handsome man whose name was Emeka. And they continued to remain friends despite getting married. Chioma was a banker, was doing very well for herself. As a matter of fact, she had grown so big in her bank and was even managing a few people. However, Imabong was a full-time housewife. Her husband, Ubong, was a wealthy man and had told her not to work a day in her life. And he even went as far as placing her on a monthly salary of 300k every month so that she would just stay at home and take care of the household. And their home was going on just fine. And in less than 2 years after their marriage, Imabong had given birth to two beautiful babies, two bouncing baby boys. And this made her so happy. However, she gained some weight due to pregnancy and delivery and was finding it so difficult to lose the weight. And before she knew what was happening, her husband, Ubong, no longer found her attractive. As a matter of fact, he began pursuing small girls all over the city of Calabar. He changed drastically and would even keep late nights, sometimes come back home drunk and all of that. Imabong was broken. Each time she tried to confront him, he would beat her blue black. There would be a lot of bruises on her body, and sometimes her best friend Chioma would be the one to rush her to the hospital. And things continued like this for a while. But Imabong continued to endure. And as the years passed, her children were growing into handsome young boys. Meanwhile, it was over 8 good years, and Chioma had still not conceived even one child. Chioma had not even had a single miscarriage. Initially, her husband Emeka was supportive and all of that. But as time went by, he became frustrated. He was the only son of his mother and had acquired so much properties. He was a wealthy man and could not imagine being childless. And so he started mounting pressure on his wife, Chioma. Chioma, I need a son, no, I need a child. Give me a child, Chioma. Look at my mates. They no okay. Okay just got married 2 years ago. And the wife has given him 3 bouncing baby boys. Ebuka has 4 bouncing boys. People that will take over his properties when he's no more. Chioma, why are you doing this to me? When I go back home to have family meeting with my omuna, I cannot talk in the midst of men. Each time I try to bring a suggestion, they shut me up because I don't have a child. Because I don't have a son. Chioma, give me a child, oh. Give me a child, oh. Emeka would say, screaming at Chioma. And Chioma will fall on her knees, crying and begging. But Emeka, I am not God. I am not the one to give a child. It is not in my power to give a child. Emeka, because join me in praying, join me in fasting. Okay, follow me to the hospital. All this while that we've been married for 8 years, you have refused to follow me to the hospital to find out why I am childless. Chioma would reply crying. And Emeka would get upset and say, what's that supposed to mean? I should follow you to the hospital. Am I the one that is looking for a child? Am I the one that is barren? Am I the one that is without a womb? Bia, do not insult me in my house. I've told you my own. I'm giving you just 2 years. By our 10th year anniversary, if you have not given me a child, be ready to get out of my house. Emeka said, screaming angrily at his wife. And Chioma just fell down there, weeping and crying, asking God why her own case was different. So each time, Chioma and her best friend Imabong would meet up and just hang out. They would both share their predicament with themselves. While Chioma will be comforting her friend for her husband's flirtatious activities, carrying women up and down. Imabong, on the other hand, will be comforting her friend for her childlessness. Then one day, when they hung out as usual, Imabong looked at her friend and said, Chioma, Chioma, this one that all these years, your husband has refused to follow you to the hospital. And, he just keeps giving you money to go and treat yourself to get a child and all of that. Don't you think that the problem might be from him? And he has given you a deadline, no? This is almost your 10th year anniversary. You have barely a year and 6 months before you clock 10 years. And you know your husband. Your husband is a very mean person. He will do what he wants to do. If you have not given him a child by your 10th year anniversary, he will throw you out. My friend, it is high time to stop doing good person. Stop doing the righteous girl and church girl. Go out, get a man to get you pregnant. At least go and sleep with a man first. And check whether the problem is from you or from your husband. How about? Imabong said. Then Chioma looked at her and said, Imabong, how could you have said that? Like I should go and sleep with another man. Ha! It's an abomination where I'm from. We don't do that. If you sleep with a man that is not your husband, it brings curses to your husband. We don't do that in my place, so that's an abomination. Arasa. Chioma replied. Okay now. Abomination, Abi? No wahala. Sha, don't come and disturb me when your husband throws your things out. Because I have told you, just do it. Just do it at least to be sure that the problem is not from me. Besides, your husband will never find out. You know that. This is just between me and you. You don't need to tell a soul. Come, okay, I will arrange somebody for you. Just do this thing. Okay, just sleep with one person. If you don't get pregnant, then you know that, okay, it is not your husband's fault. But you can't keep carrying the blame on your head. You better wisen up, oh. Wisen up, Imabong said. And so Chioma went home that day thinking and thinking. Could it be true that the problem was from her husband? She pondered on all the words that her best friend had told her. And after several days of giving it a thought, she agreed and she called her friend to inform her that she was going to go ahead with her plan. So a few weeks later, Aunt Chioma met a handsome young man and she slept with him. And barely 1 month after that, she realized that she was pregnant. Chioma was so happy. She called her friend Imabong and shared the good news with her. Imabong was so happy for her. Shebi, I told you. Shebi, I told you. Shebi, I told you. Imabong said excitedly. So later that day, when her husband Emeka came back, Chioma walked up to him smiling and handed him a pregnancy test strip. And Emeka took it and said, Ogini, what is this? He asked. Then Chioma replied and said, look at it first. Kwano, Lenu, look at it before you start squeezing your face. She replied, smiling. And then Emeka took a second look at it and realized that she was pregnant. He screamed as he hugged and twirled her around. Finally, you're going to give me a son, finally, Emeka said happily. And Chioma was so happy, and they hugged and kissed. The next 9 months were the best 9 months of her life because her husband Emeka practically worshipped the very ground she stepped her foot on. He took very good care of her. He pampered her. He bought her suya, ice cream, goat meat, pepper soup, anything that she wanted. He literally bought for her. He was so happy that she was going to give birth to a child for him after several years of waiting. And a few months after that, Chioma gave birth to a bouncing baby boy. Emeka was so happy. And a few weeks after that, he spared no expense. He threw the largest naming ceremony that the city of Calabar had ever witnessed in their lives. He was so happy. I am now a man. Abum woke, abum dimpa. I am a man, Emeka said proudly. And his wife, Chioma, was super happy. She was glad that she had listened to her friend's advice. Meanwhile, Imabong was not having it any rosy. Her husband had grown worse. He now started deriving pleasure in beating her. He began to beat her at any slightest provocation whatsoever. And sometimes she would even faint and he would leave her there for dead. And it would be her young boys who would have to call their mother's friend, Chioma, to come and pick their mother and take her to the hospital. Chioma had rushed Imabong's lifeless body to the hospital several times that she had lost count. In a space of just 4 years, Imabong had been in a state of coma more than 4 times. At this point, Chioma started getting worried for her friend. So one day, she called her to her home and then looked at her and said, Imabong, you will die, oh. You will die, and who will take care of your sons? Your sons are still young. They are just 13 years old. Who will take care of them? Your husband has gotten worse. He beats you at the slightest provocation. My dear, I think you should leave. You should leave. If not, you will die, oh. Chioma said, looking very worried. But then Imabong replied her and said, where am I supposed to leave to? Where will I go to? You know, I have never worked a day in my life. My husband refused from day one that I would ever work. He has always placed me on a monthly salary. And I do not even have savings of my own. You know, I use that money to take care of myself. I have nothing to call my own. And you know my husband, if I decide to leave, he will not allow me to take my sons with me. What am I supposed to do? Imabong replied. Then Chioma replied and said, my dear, leave, oh, you will die, oh. Let him keep his sons. Let him raise his children. They are also his children. But don't you want to use your life to do something? I know, yes, you've never worked in a day in your life. That's fine. You can move in with me. Come and live with me. Please take my advice, Chioma said, pleading. And remember, Imabong, just a few years ago, when my marriage was at the verge of being broken, you advised me to go outside and get a man to impregnate me. And look I've done that twice now, and I have 2 bouncing baby boys. And you see that my marriage has been restored. I took your advice, and that is why I am even happy now. Take my own advice this time so that you will not die. I'm ready to accommodate you as long as possible until you find your foot, Chioma said as she pleaded with her friend. However, Imabong was not ready to leave her marriage. And as a matter of fact, she even stayed married to her husband, receiving all the beatings for an extra 5 years. Before one day she got fed up and decided to leave. By this time, her sons had already grown and had just gotten admission into the university. So she felt that it was time for her to leave. At least they were no longer little and no longer needed her as much. So she took up her friend on her offer and went in to move with Chioma. Chioma, on the other hand, was so happy to have Imabong moving with her. And by this time, Chioma herself had gotten 4 sons. She had 4 boys. And she was so happy. Her marriage was doing just well. Her husband was doting on her, buying her gifts almost every Eke market day. He was so loving. He was glad that she had given him boys to call his own. Boys that would take over his legacy, that would take over his name, and would inherit his properties. So initially, after Imabong moved in with Chioma, everything was going on just fine. They were living happily. They would spend hours gisting, talking, and just catching up. And they were doing just good. But barely 2 months after Imabong moved in, things began to change. Imabong began to resent and hate her friend. She began to blame her friend for making her leave her matrimonial home. Each time she saw her friend Chioma and her husband Emeka, playing love, kissing, dotting, running around like small children, she would be boiling inside of her, telling herself, this is what I would have been experiencing with my husband. But no, Chioma made me leave my husband. Chioma made me leave my home. Chioma made me leave my marriage. Now look at me. I'm here in her home, being tormented by the nonsense love she's playing with her husband. Imabong will say to herself, boiling in anger. Imabong began to feel so bad. She felt as though Chioma had deceived her. And for that reason, she began to plot her revenge. She made a vow to herself that since Chioma made her leave her husband, that she would make sure that Chioma herself also leaves her husband. So first things first, she began to change the way she dressed. Imabong began to dress provocatively. She would wear bomb shorts, sometimes she would wear see-through clothes and all of that. And just be walking around, trotting in the house with confidence. And she would do this especially when Emeka was around. She would just come out with shimmy and be walking up and down, shaking what her mother gave her. Initially, Chioma began to notice the subtle changes, but she didn't take it as something to be worried about. Imabong was her best friend now, her childhood friend. As a matter of fact, their friendship had spanned almost over 30 years, so she didn't take it as anything. She felt it was just a stage, like it was more or less like a grieving stage after losing your marriage, after divorce, different stages that someone will go through. She felt that was what was happening to Imabong. She did not think that Imabong was intentionally trying to seduce her husband. So she just let it be because she didn't even want to make her friend, who was her guest, uncomfortable. So she just let it slide. But Imabong was not backing down. Imabong began to actively and openly flirt with Emeka, Chioma's husband. Especially when Chioma was not around. She would dress provocatively and come out and, with full makeup, red lipstick and all of that, and be talking to him seductively. They'll be having a conversation. The next thing, she has landed her hands on his chest and be smiling in such a way as to suggest something. Sometimes even licking her tongue, smacking her lips, and making all such suggestive mannerism. And of course, it was only a matter of time for Emeka to begin to respond to her advances. Before Emeka himself knew what was happening, he began to look forward to seeing Imabong each time he came back from work. As a matter of fact, he even began coming home with flowers and gifts, not just for his wife, but for his wife's friend, Imabong. At this point, Chioma became worried. So one day she called her friend and said, Imabong, what's up now? What's happening? I noticed that these days, the way you've been dressing in my house is somehow now. You're wearing bomb shorts, you're wearing see-throughs and all of that. The way you make jokes with my husband, the way you touch him affectionately and all of that. Is everything okay? What is happening? Chioma asked, looking worried. Immediately, Imabong pretended to be offended. Then she began shedding crocodile tears. Oh, I don't blame you. I don't blame you because I'm a divorcee now. Because I've left my marriage. So in other words, I'm trying to sleep with your husband. I don't blame you. Imabong said as she busted out in tears. Imabong successfully turned the table around. And Chioma began to feel so guilty and began to apologize. I'm sorry. I actually did not mean to hurt you. I was just trying to say, maybe try dressing decently around my husband. He's a man. You know how men can be. Please, I'm sorry. It was not my intention to mock you for divorcing your husband or for being a divorcee or whatever. Please, I'm sorry. You're my best friend, Chioma said, pleading with Imabong. And so that was how Imabong had successfully gaslighted Chioma. And after that day, She did not stop. Oh, Imabong continued to dress flirtatiously and was, flirting with her husband even in front of Chioma. And Emeka, on the other hand, was enjoying it and was responding very well to Imabong's advances. At this point, Chioma was frustrated. She couldn't ask her best friend to leave her house. So she decided to speak to her husband about it. So one day she walked up to him and said, "Babe, have you not noticed the way Imabong is behaving around you? Eh? The way she dresses, the way she addresses you, like she's trying to flirt with you and all of that." Chioma said, looking very worried. Then the husband looked at her and said, Bia, Chioma, do not get me upset this morning. Do not even get me upset. Am I the one that invited your friend into our home? No. If you don't like Imabong, tell her to leave. As far as I'm concerned, she's not doing anything. She's just being herself. Don't you wear bomb shot at home? Don't you wear see-through at home? And you're telling your friend not to wear it. Am I the one that will tell your friend what to wear or what not to wear? Biko, leave me out of this. This is a woman matter. Handle it however you seem best. Hapokwanum, Chioma, leave me alone. Emeka replied, feigning anger. At this point, Chioma was clueless. There was nobody to talk to about this situation. Usually, she would turn to her best friend Imabong to discuss her fears with her. But now Imabong was the main person causing all the tension in her home. So things continued like this for a while. But what Chioma did not know was that things had even gone way worse than that. As a matter of fact, her best friend Imabong had started meeting up with her husband Emeka at different hotels. They had started sleeping together, and Chioma was not aware. She was just here busy fighting that she was wearing bomb shorts and flirting with her husband. She didn't know that they had gone deeper, as in deeper to the next level. But then one day, Chioma woke up from a bad dream. She had dreamt that Imabong had snatched her husband away from her. So that day, she decided that she was done being the nice friend. She was going to give Imabong 10 million naira to go rent a new apartment for herself, start up her life, start up a business. She just leave her home. So that was what Chioma decided that she was going to do. So later that day, she called her friend Imabong and said, Imabong, I know I told you you could stay for as long as you want to, but I think you have, settled down a bit and you are in a better place emotionally. I think it's time for you to move to your own space. That way you'll be free to do things that you want. That way to not be like I'm telling you you're wearing bomb shorts and all of that. So I'll support you with the sum of 10 million naira. It's not a loan. It's just for you. You're my best friend. Use it to set up yourself and all of that. Chioma said, smiling. And Imabong just stared at her for a while and then busted out into laughter. Chioma, Chioma, you want to send me out of this house? You want to give me 10 million naira to go and rent my space and to be wearing bomb shirts in my wonder shall never end. Anyway, Chioma, I am not going to repeat myself twice. If there is anybody that would leave this house, it will not be me. Nike. I cannot leave this house now. For what? Say what happen. I know they live here. I like this place and I'm going to stay here. If you have a problem with it, use that 10 million naira that you want to give me and go and rent a place and leave. But you see this house, I am going to live here. And there is absolutely nothing you can do about it. Imabong replied. Chioma opened her mouth in shock. Imabong, Imabong, you are saying that I would leave my matrimonial home for you. Are you listening to yourself? Chioma replied angrily. The Imabong stared at her and said, my dear, I did not put water in my mouth when I was talking. I will not leave this house. We can both live together. But if you have a problem with me living here, then it's high time for you to pack your bags and get out. Imabong replied. Then Chima looked at her and said, Imabong, you are my best friend. What did I ever do to you? What did I ever do to you that you hate me this much? Have I ever done anything to you? Chioma replied. And even before she even finished asking that question, Imabong screamed and said, yes, so you have done something to me. So you made me leave my husband's house. You made me a divorcee, and you think that you can enjoy your husband's house. Hey, it will not happen now. For what? What is good for the goose is also good for the gander. Two of us will stay here, and if you are not happy with it, you can as well fall out. Imabong replied as she walked away angrily. Chioma did not know what to do. She immediately fell down and broke down in tears. Oh, Imabong has killed me. But what did I do? Her husband was abusing her. He was beating her. If Imabong still remained with this man, she would be dead by now. He would have killed her. I was only trying to be a good friend. So all this while, Imabong had hated me because I advised her to leave her husband. Hey, so I brought the devil into my own home. And so now her plan is to make me leave my own husband. Hey, Imabong. Oh, Imabong. See why it's not good to have best friend. Chioma said as she broke down in tears. So a few days after that, she summoned courage again and walked up to Imabong and told Imabong, you must leave my house today. Oh. You must leave my house today. Whether you like it or not, you are leaving my house today. Chioma screamed angrily at Imabong. Then Imabong simply looked at her and said, okay, you want me to leave your house, Abi? No problem. But I hope you are ready to tell your husband who the father of his 4 sons are. Or I should go and tell him myself that he cannot father a child and that you were sleeping like a dog from one man to the other. You have 4 different children for 4 different men and you brought them under his roof. Is that what you want me to go and tell your husband? Imabong replied. By this time, Chioma was already fidgeting. Imabong, shut up. Shh. Somebody will hear you. Imabong, because you know. Imabong, Mechikono. Keep quiet. Imabong, do you want to destroy my life? Imabong. Remember, you're the one that advised me, oh. You're the one that advised me to go and sleep with men, to have these children for my husband. Imabong, what have I done? What have I done to you? Please. Chioma said, crying. And then Imabong simply looked at her and said, my dear, the ball is in your court. If you want to go and tell your husband, if you want to forcefully eject me out of this house, that's fine. I'm going to tell your husband that his 4 sons that he's so proud of are not his. But if you're willing to allow me be and live in my house peacefully, then I can let it slide. Imabong replied proudly. And so from that day onwards, Imabong became bolder. And she became the madam. She shot. As a matter of fact, she was no longer going out to sleep with her husband, Emeka. She started sleeping with Emeka in that same house, even when her best friend, Chioma, was around. She took over the kitchen. She took over the maids. She was ordering them around, behaving like the madam of the house. Just walking around majestically, dishing orders to the driver, to the maids. You do this, you do that. As a matter of fact, she even moved into Chioma's matrimonial home. And Chioma had to move into the guest room. At this point, Chioma was broken. She kept herself locked up in her room for days, crying and weeping. How did I not know that Imabong was like this? How did I bring a snake into my house? How? Chioma said as she wept and wept uncontrollably. Meanwhile, Emeka was having the time of his life. Imabong was a proper Akwa Ibom woman and had successfully tied him in between her legs. So he was just behaving like a puppet, doing whatsoever she asked. He completely forgot the wife of his youth, Chioma. So things continued like this for a while. So one day, Chioma came before her friend Imabong and knelt down and began crying and begging. Imabong, I am sorry. Please leave my husband alone. Please leave my husband. Chioma said, crying. But Imabong would simply just laugh and make mockery of her. She had no intention of leaving Emeka. Emeka was taking very good care of her. And she was enjoying the misery she was putting her best friend through. She would just reply Chioma and say, Shibi, you advised me to leave my own marriage. Now, me too, I'm advising you, leave this marriage now. Leave me and your husband alone. You to leave the marriage. Shibi, I left my own marriage. It's your turn now. Leave this marriage. Imabong would say, making a total jest of Chioma. Then one day, Chioma got fed up. She was tired of being ridiculed in her home. So she took her bags and left. Imabong was so happy. She thought that Chioma had gone for good. She thought that she had won the battle. She had stolen her husband. She had destroyed her marriage. Unknown to Imabong, that Chioma remembered whose daughter she was. She remembered that she was from Okija and that her people worshipped the Okija shrine. So she went back home. And when she went back, she went with one of Imabong's clothes. She secretly stole Imabong's clothes and went to her mother, who was a priestess of Okija shrine, and told the mother all that had transpired and everything that had happened. And she gave her mother Imabong's clothes. And then the mother got very upset and went into the shrine and offered some sacrifices, made some incantations and all of that. By the time Chioma returned to her house, to her matrimonial home the next morning, she was welcomed by loud screams, wailing. She saw her husband running around. She saw the children running around. And she pretended. She feigned ignorance. She was asking, what happened? What happened? What happened? And then the husband was screaming, Imabong is dead, oh, Imabong is dead, oh. She did not wake up this morning. Imabong did not wake up this morning. Imabong did not wake up this morning. We are trying to rush her to the hospital. And Chioma pretended to assist in rushing her to the hospital. But in her mind, she was very happy. Of course, she knew what she had done. She knew that it was her mother who had killed Imabong the day before. So that was how Imabong died. And Chioma reclaimed control over her home. Hi, besties. It's your favorite storyteller, Omalicha. Thank you so much for watching my story to the end. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one as usual. So what do you think? Do you think that Imabong deserves to die just like that because of man? Just waste her life like that? Or do you think that it served her right for betraying her friend that way? Out of all the men in the world, it had to be Chioma's husband. Do you think it served her right? Then secondly, can you ever encourage your friend to divorce their spouse? Like, encourage your friend to either divorce their wife or to divorce their husband. Also, if your friend is having marital problem of any kind, whether there's domestic abuse in it, emotional abuse, would you ever give them an advice? Would you ever advise your married friend? Or would you keep your mouth shut and let them sort out their problems themselves? Then lastly, do you suspect that Emeka actually knew that he was impotent, that he could not pregnant a woman? Do you think that most men know that they cannot pregnant a woman and yet they would hide it? Like, they would refuse to go for hospital visitations, hiding under the fact that I'm a man, nothing is wrong with me. Do you think that most men know that they are impotent and know that their wives actually go out to get pregnant? Please share your thoughts with me in the comment section, and please support your home girl, Omalicha, by subscribing to my channel, liking my videos, and sharing with your loved ones. So now, till I come your way again with more interesting stories, bye.